Happening? What's going on? Jim Padilla here, and with your high revenue business insights for the week here. Hopefully, everything, all the technology is working right because I did this all myself, so it's never a guarantee that it's all going to work out right. I didn't count on team for it. So here's the deal. We have been very, very blessed to generate a lot of money. Uh, Generated $500 million for our clients, and have been extremely successful in sales. We have seen a lot of things come. And right now, what happens as we are scaling companies and being that the go-to resource for companies that are increasing exponential revenue, we're seeing a lot of the same things come up, and I want to share them with you. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. High revenue business insights will be coming at you regularly with these lives to be able to tap in to some key things that we're seeing and just share some specific things that are going to tweak and give you some insights into some things that are going to move the needle for you as you're growing a high revenue business. Right. So pay attention. I'm just going to jump in. There's two quick things I want to highlight today if I have time, because I'm trying to cut this thing off in about 15 minutes here. But number one, something that everybody comes to me. Let me just go a quick screen share. Everybody comes to me with a question that happens frequently. And I'll be honest, it's bugging me a little bit because it's the wrong questions. But people come to me with these questions around, how do I shorten the sales cycle? How do I speed up the sales cycle? How do I do that? And everybody's always looking for the fastest possible path to to more revenue. And while yes, we need to be making more revenue, obviously, and the speed is going to be part of the gig. But what I want you to be thinking about is that that's the wrong question. Okay, that's not what is going to move the needle, and that's not what I want you to be thinking. Okay, what really makes the difference for you is the ability to strengthen the cycle. So this is the wrong thing that people are asking. All right, so again, just a little credibility. Jim and Cindy Padilla here. This is what we do at Gain the Edge. We are the secret weapon for scaling and scalability for many of who's who in the expert space and a lot of scaling companies. We've been very blessed to be able to be part of some big opportunities. And, that's us there. And essentially, we step inside your business to install sales strategy and systems, leadership, and execution so that revenue grows faster, teams perform better, and business can scale predictably. All right. So we're here to help you create legendary results. And so one of the things that we're talking about here is about the sales cycle. I want to highlight. Okay, this here I'm playing with some visual images. I'm trying to get some imagery here to demonstrate what happens in sales conversations. Most people are trying to get at the highest possible conversion on one call closes as they can. And while, of course, that's a desire, and you will have a percentage of revenue that closes on the first time through. But the vast majority of the people who buy from you are not buying today. They're buying tomorrow. They're buying later. They're buying next week, next month, next year. They're in your world. They need to get a better taste, a feel of what's going on with you. And when people are, I'm going to talk about a two-step sales process, but from a perspective that most people are not thinking about. And the difference that we see is conversation number one. People come through your process and they will show up wherever they can. People come to stage two and we expect them to show up ready to buy. And when you have an appointment and you set up and you tee them up for your closer, for that back end sales opportunity, you don't know what's going to happen. Once you let them go, they're on their own devices and they can be doing anything in that time frame. And whether they show up or not is not a guarantee. You don't control what happens there. And when they do show up, do they even remember why they booked the call? How quality was that appointment set on the front end? What happened between those two touch points? And as you can see here, this is a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's what happens. They have literally any option in the world between now and when you book that call, whether it's 2 days, 3 days, 5 days from now, whatever that looks like. They have a lot of opportunity to get completely disconnected from you and why they were here in the first place, versus a quality two-step process that helps them and keeps them engaged and moves them and retains them in the process. Okay. And there's one small piece missing that we're going to highlight for you. So this is part of a training that I did called Calm, Certain, and Closed, the two-step sales system to consistent high revenue clients. But this is what you need here. I'm just trying to make a case for you why you need a two-step solution, what is needed in order to execute on one, and what's the benefit and how this helps you keep people engaged longer. All right. So this piece right here, this is everything that we teach, everything that we talk about and do. You have the opportunity to become a master closer, right? Which is something everybody strives for. Um, but that's not how you don't need to be like that in order to make business happen. I'm as good as anybody you're going to meet at sales, but we don't make sales because I'm a master closer. We make sales because we structure our world in such a way that sales happen. So you can either focus on being mastering selling or mastering structuring your world so that sales happen. I always prefer the latter. That is the best way to go. More effective. You do not have to become a sales rock star. And the reality is most of you won't become one anyway, because you're too busy building your empire, serving your clients and doing the things you need to do. And while selling is an important part of the process, it is something you do naturally. We all do it every day of our life, and you've been doing it your whole life. That's how life works. That's how you're here. If you weren't, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be alive. Okay. So I'm just going to jam through this here real quick. Okay. This is the real problem. All right. Everything that we do is based on understanding that principles don't change. Tactics do. Tactics and strategy change all the time. Okay. And why the 2 steps, right? 2 steps in, we're going to show you a nuance to this that nobody else is paying attention to. But you have to make sure that you're understanding that those 2 steps, right, is about expanding the cycle, more importantly, strengthening the cycle. Because if somebody is going to buy from you after a couple of touch points, then why not design it with a couple of touch points? And, or if they're, I have clients that sometimes takes 30, 60, 90 days for them to buy because there's a lot involved in the sales process, maybe multiple people and multiple things that need to get done. And if that's going to be the case, then why not design it that way in the first place instead of trying to put all your eggs in the basket of closing on the front end to begin with, because that's the lowest percentage opportunity that you're going to have. Okay. So this is the focus point. Your calls are often taken too long. You're giving people too much room and it can be too much to remember and too much to think about, instead of giving them bite-sized pieces of what they need to be doing so that they can act on that first thing. I was in the middle of I'm working on my personal health, and I had working with a trainer and a friend of mine who's doing some good work with me for a favor, and we spent a week evaluating things, and he didn't ask, there was no commitments. He gave me small pieces of what to do for the week so that he's evaluating my patterns and my plans and my habits and what I'm doing, and commitments were minimal. We met after week 1, and then we eliminated a couple of things, streamlined a few things, and then the commitment level went up further. And then we're going to meet again in 2 weeks. And then basically over a 30-day period, we're going to have some results, some habits, some patterns, and some clarity. Right. And I like that. It's an option. It's not the only option, but what it's doing is it's enrolling me every step of the way. And if that's a better process, it's a better process instead of him trying to put everything into that first conversation of saying, this is what we need to do. Here's the magic and here's how it's going to work. Right. He's spoon feeding me wins, spoon feeding me habit creation, pattern change, and moving me to the process where I'm literally selling myself. I know that this is what needs to happen, and I know this is where we need to be. All right. So you need to be thinking about the same thing instead of trying to put everything into your magic, into the magic bucket that you have, where you're going to close everybody on that first sale. Start focusing on designing a process that leads to a multi-touch. Right? Maybe you do a qualification call and then move them to a roundtable discussion, a qualification call that moves them to then an event or a workshop or a training or a class or or an experience, an assessment. There's no limit to the options, but you need to be thinking this, because this is the reality in today's marketplace. People just need more touch, more time, and more incentive. That's what we're seeing consistently. And that is being missed by everybody. Okay. I'm here to kill the myth of the one call close. Right. There's not such a thing. It is the smallest percentage of people you're ever going to meet ever anywhere in the world who wake up today with a new problem and then just randomly happen to call you by design, call you, get on the phone with you, and then buy from you the first time. That just doesn't happen. right? It is so small of a percentage of time that happens that you can't build a business model upon it. A one call close for you typically is somebody who's had multiple calls with other people. They've been researching, they've been looking, they've been trying to solve this problem, and now they're in your world. And kudos to you if you're able to capture that opportunity when it first enters. That's great. But the one call close just is not something you can build your business upon, not as a staple. Because again, the person who does that consistently is somebody who is not the average person, and typically not the person you are or maybe have access to. All right. So you want to be thinking about a setter, a triage call, a pre-qualification call, an info session, sales development reps, MDRs, MQL, just the abundance of opportunities, right? You want to look at all the different ways that you can move people through, and so that you have ways to be able to engage people, assess them, serve them, solve for them, and move them to the next step so that they understand there's something in play for you here. Okay. It's not about trying to close them all the time, right? We hear the Google research numbers that are pushing 8 9 years old now, so those numbers have only increased if anything. But the 7 11 4, right? People need 7 hours with you, 11 touch points over 4 platforms before they're buying. The average buyer. It doesn't mean that some people aren't just going to show up and buy, but you need to be thinking about that so that they get different angles, different looks from you, right? You may have spoken to me on a call. You may have spoken to somebody on my team on a call. And then now here's another angle, another lens, another way to see me, right? If you show up at our event, we have an event coming up in 2 weeks, our Income Infusion event that's going to be all about bolstering your revenue in your business for 2026, right? That happily going to be inviting you to. I'll drop a link in here shortly if you're interested. But that's another way, another angle, another lens to get access to us, right? We have a client that we're in process with right now, and had some phone conversations, Zoom conversations, some text messages, and then invited him to a training, to an internal training that we have with some of our clients, and as also as part of the sales process. And then they'll be coming up at our Income Infusion event, right? There's a lot of ways that people can get looks at you. And if you design that process and that journey from the beginning, everything is going to be simpler and easier. Maybe not faster, but more effective, right? Forces you into a clear, direct communication, right? You know where someone's going to go from here. So you're moving them, you're solving a specific problem or giving them a specific experience along the way. Okay. And that steps in that process can move people to a call or to an event or to whatever the next step is. It doesn't have to be a two-step sales process. Doesn't always have to be a setter and a closer, right? That's not what it is. 2 steps is 2 steps. You decide what those steps are based on your buyer. Those are the things that we help our clients work with, and we put those processes in place to make sure that those experiences are done by design so that it's eloquent, right? And it's elegant and it delivers results. Okay. The piece that's missing, and I'm going to share with you a resource here. I'm going to put in the chat that we have something that we call the 3-step sales advantage. The 3-step sales advantage, but I thought you were just talking about 2 steps. Yeah, I get it. I understand that. The 2-step sales advantage has a missing step for most people, or excuse me, the 2-step sales process that most people run with has a missing piece in the middle, which is something we call controlling the journey. So if you figure out how to control the journey, then you eliminate all of the nonsense in between. You start now getting people to show up consistently, predictably, excitedly to do something because they know why they're here, what they're doing. They've got a journey between the 2 points that you have led them on and put them on put in front of, so that they're moving through this predictably and the way that you had planned them to, instead of the way that they might randomly hope to, which is what most people are doing. Okay. So what you have to think about is eliminating the hope, eliminating the lack of follow-up, the lack of clarity, and start putting some structure in place in this process. Does have their activity between point 1 and point 2 be by design, right? That's what we're striving for here. We want to make sure that we're not hope and a prayer old way. We want new belief, process and control. Process and control. You want them to do what you need them to do so that they become a more qualified buyer, a more prepared buyer, a more ready buyer, and excuse me, help make a better decision in your world. Okay. And then what do they need to know in this process? They need to know there's three specific things that they need to know, and this is what you need to embed in the process. And I have this 3-step sales advantage that I'm going to share with you, which is a 30-minute training that we've done that walks you through step by step exactly how to create this, and it's powerful. And I really want you to put it in play and act on it immediately, because literally you watch that video, you go through that training, and you can start implementing immediately into your process and see the difference happen right away. Okay, the three things you want to address is they need to know something about you. They need to know what do they need to know about the situation, themselves, and you. And that's what you address inside of the journey, right? So they go from step one to step two. They have to get more clear about you as why you're the solution, why you're the expert, about the situation. So they understand more of what's at stake and what really is going on, because you're the expert of the problem, which means you probably know things about this that they don't. Right. And then what do they need to know about themselves that makes this difference? Okay. Again, that'll be all in that training. I'm going to drop it in the chat for you. Just say a three step, and I'll drop the 3-step sales advantage in there. The key is, I don't want you to be worrying about speeding up the sales cycle or shortening it. I want you to focus on strengthening it. Strengthening the sales cycle is what's going to make the difference. Right. And then just as a quick side note, something we have tested ad nauseum, okay, to 25,000 sales calls a year, hundreds of thousands of sales conversations, booked calls. Most people think speed is everything, and speed to the sale is a good way, or speed to the lead is a good way to get good, important, quick conversations, right? The faster you can reach them, faster you can talk to them. And many times, the faster you can sell them. It doesn't always mean it's the most effective buy. What we have found is, if you book calls in one day, somebody comes to a lead and they book a call in one day, quicker opportunity for them to book a call. Also, lesser opportunity for them to show up. The sweet spot for people to show up and to buy is between, it should be 2 to 5 days, between 2 to 5 days. And that day number 3 is really the sweet spot. So they book today, day 3, they have a conversation. That is enough time for them to get engaged, research your material, do any exercises or assessments or anything that's necessary that they need to know, again, about themselves, about the situation, and about you, and then be prepared to show up and have a great conversation. We're seeing the greatest amount of conversions that lead to retention at day 3. So don't try to just slam your calendar full of immediate conversations from people who go from a lead to a book call right away, because that's not necessarily the most effective way to go. Fast, yes. Most effective, not necessarily. Okay. So we do have the Income Infusion System event coming up here February 5 to 7, which is just right around the corner, and we would love to have you here. We're doing live experience, a live model here in our home in Sacramento, and then we're also going to be doing it virtual, because we know a lot of people can't make the trip, or in the last hour here, the 11th hour, get the travel done with any effectiveness, because hey, price wise and TSA and all of that good stuff. But if you're interested, you want to find out more, then type in the chat, say income, and we will get you information about the Income Infusion event wherever you're at, whichever platform you are watching this in on. Just let me know what you're thinking there, because I have more trainings that I'm going to drop in. I have another one that I want to prepare you with that I'm going to do in the next couple of days, that is going to be around lifetime value to CAC, right? You have to understand your lifetime value to CAC ratio, so you understand exactly what you're spending to get a client and how much value that client is worth to you over your lifetime, so you can make some better decisions in the sales process and make sure you're talking to the right people about the right things. So we want to make sure that you are able to, oops, come on, get this off. My bad. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm hitting these wrong buttons. It's all good. There it is. That's the one I was looking for. Back at you. So I'm going to put the 3-step sales advantage in the chat for you. Please take advantage of it and let me know how it works. If you implement, don't bother downloading it if you're not going to use it. If you want to implement this thing and watch it work for you, if you have a sales team, or if you are the sales team, this will deliver immediate results for you. That I promise. So type in the chat, 3-step sales advantage. I'll drop that in there and make sure you use it. And then please let me know how it works. And if you're interested in building your income infusion system so that 2026 is no longer hope and prayer. That is all about a high octane fuel and revenue generation for you in this new year. Let us be a great solution for you. All right. So much more to come. Trying to move through this as quick as I could and wrap this thing in 20 minutes. And that was my target. So we'll see you on the next one for the next high revenue business insight. And you have a fantastic day. Go make some sales, make some impact, change some lives.